So yesterday, the people working in LTA's bus assets, as well as the deputy director, y'all know who that is, they basically threw a temper tantrum. Basically, mommy never gave them their toys, their correct toys. So apparently, Woodlands, they debuted the green Citaros, right? So they took in like three of them. And when you give like another depot buses, like usually you would expect something in return, right? If I'm not wrong, it's this. So Crunchy, they took in three Man 822s and then they gave it to Sun Li. And literally just yesterday, they have stuff like this going on. So you see a Man 822 on 179. There is another one on 258, and then you have like this kind of stunt basically. So like out of the cameos that happened yesterday, um, this one is technically now sort of a like permanent quote unquote deployment. Like how do you say? It's like you wouldn't really put it as like how do you say perm on 179 or like 502 in this case. You would still list it as like spare bus, just that like your main deployment, which is kind of like randomized, just like the Woodlands Bendies, they would put it on like 179 or 502 as their so-called like main deployment, if that makes sense. And then recently, to cater to the demand of like 502 on weekends, it's like for full PM, meaning like from the afternoon to all the way till night. They actually upsize, I think, two slots to double decker buses. So yeah, I mean, I think those like happen around the same time. But the thing is, even if you like ignore the stunts done by Mercedes-Benz OC 500 LE, they just run around, they roam around. Even if you ignore that, so I don't necessarily know like what this exactly means. It's just that like this is supposed to be like the what you call that, like by right rule. But however, those people like that, the people that are in charge of like the bus assets, they are kind of lazy, and I don't know how this like flew over them or what, but like basically they are by right supposed to state this, but they didn't state it. So when SMRT tried to like, reshuffle, redeploy buses between like Woodlands, Galibatu, which is Kranji, and Sunli Bus Depot, like the kind of like mass reshuffling around. I mean, the why they are even being reshuffled in the first place is because like the buses that went over to Woodlands, they are like testing the new CFMS, if that's correct. Like the sort of like the new trapeze are like the successor of trapeze, basically. So I mean naturally you send buses to Woodlands, then Sunli or like Kranji, they gotta get like something back in return. Otherwise they would be short of buses. So LTA only checks their buses for like internal purposes, but I don't know what internal purpose they are exactly referring to. But when it comes to like the PTO's own assets, I like for example, SMRT's Bendy buses, who I mean the Bendy buses are SMRT's like own assets, or they're leased to like SBS Transit, Tower Transit, and stuff like that. But they are still their own assets, and they do not like in any way belong to LTA. So LTA doesn't check those. So when it comes to like I don't know, maintenance, trips, redeployment, or even something as simple as like how old the bus is, it is up to like the PTOs to check themselves. And I was told that like LTA doesn't even interfere with this. And the thing is, like, when it comes to Sunli bus depots, bus captains, uh, even those who like went over from SBS to SMRT, I kid you not, every single one of them has been trained to drive MAN 822 Euro 5 buses. Like literally, every single one of them is trained to drive them, and naturally, it would make sense to put like the MAN 822 Euro 5s on Sunli bus services, especially when you know all the KUBs they retire. You need the replacements, and yeah, and I think only like a few. It's not just the bus enthusiast BCs, but a few of the Sunli bus depot BCs. They actually know how to drive. They are actually being trained to drive like OC 500 LE buses as well. And what I mean by that is like, like I think days ago there was this like appearance of an OC 500 LE on 242, which is not driven by the enthusiast BCs. It's just a normal BC. I know the bus got like swapped out midway, even though it was supposed to be like AP, like it was supposed to run full day, but for some reason they swapped out. But the whole point is that like the bus captains in Sunli Bus Depot, uh, all of them can drive MAN A22s, and how do you say it? Only a few of them, but it's still quite a considerable number of bus captains in Sunli. They are able to drive like OC 500 LEs as well. I mean, all of this, just the pure reshuffling of buses and LTA's own failure to like state everything correctly, they got pissed off. And I think it's really unjustified because it's like they are really being so restrictive on the bus deployments. Like, it's just like how you can use Crunchy buses for Sunli, but you cannot use Sunli buses for Crunchy because of some mileage record, like unable to check whatever nonsense that is, their own stupid rules. I mean, they are already very restrictive when it comes to deployments, and then now they're suddenly crying because SMRT is doing what's best for the operator, so-called against LTE's rules. I find that really ridiculous, honestly. And that brings me to today's video main message. I know it's already like 7 minutes, 8 minutes in, but basically I'm gonna tell you like the best places in the country, the island, to hunt for what you know as cameo. So this cameo basically means a bus that is uh, running on another service that isn't like its permanent deployment, its fixed deployment. It's running outside its usual fixed deployment. So that's what a cameo is basically. I'm not really that into cameos, although I have seen YouTube channels whereby their entire YouTube channel is literally about them like hunting and documenting cameos. I have seen YouTube channels like those. I myself am not really into it, but like occasionally I do go for them because I need my income, my YouTube income. But yeah. So whatever I yapped about just now, basically I'm just trying to prove the point that like Boon Lay is one of the best places to hunt cameos. And again, I'm just repeating my points over here, but like you have, oh my god, you have this, you have this, uh, you have a lot of like bus models basically. And then if you're lucky, you might even get this Enviro 500. It's basically the SMRT pixel livery. I know that there are like the green ones on like 79, but I mean because of this, it's like pretty exotic, I would say. Usually they would be found at the sawtooth berths as opposed to like the end-on berths, but occasionally, like let's say 194, 246, 25. Oh no, I completely forgot. I'm so sorry. 249, I think, and then I think 251, 252. They shifted here. Yeah, they shifted here. And then even if you want MAN 822s, Euro 5s from SBS Transit, you can get them as well, like from 30, 154, and rarely like 157. The list goes on, and the whole point is that like, oh yeah, and there's MAN 824 on 180 as well. I mean, they used to be on 187. They used to be on 172 as well. But even then, the whole point is that like you have like this wide variety of bus models from SMRT that it just makes it so that like it's a good place to hunt. And the other reason why it's a good place to hunt is because like during peak hours, especially evening peak, the buses all they just bunch outside the interchange, so it's like it's easy to catch them on camera, be it like if you're taking photos or if you're taking videos. It's very easy. Is the thing I would say is like the abundance of buses makes Boon Lay one of the the cameo sweet spots, I guess. And then the other one would be, okay, in my opinion, it's Hougang. It's the same thing. You can get like bus models on this, and then MAN A95 Euro 5. I don't know. You can get this on like 151, 161, or occasionally they might cameo on like 147. I don't know, 74. At 324, I'm not so sure if they even like cameo on 324, but like, oh yes, 102 as well. 102, I think there's perm. I think I think, and yeah, and then KUB obviously it's not just like inside the interchange, it's outside like Hougang Central. There's stuff like I don't know this. I mean like whatever you can think of. Or even like just simply on these bus services. There is just like so much nice stuff to like capture in Hougang basically. Again, I'm not referring to anything. It's all from the top of my head, and oh yeah, you can get cameos on this as well. Next I would say is Ang Mo Kio. So specifically, okay, because the interchange itself, it's not really like the best place to snap buses, but if you want to snap buses, you gotta do it outside, like Ang Mo Kio Avenue 3. So there is this one big bus stop here, and then on the opposite side, the bus stops are staggered. And okay, to put it simply, there is like such a high volume of buses, like all going along the same direction. I don't know what I'm talking about, but basically because there is like so many buses along this stretch of road, you can just camp at like the junction. You find all the cameos basically. You wanna find 169 bendies? Yeah, this is a good place to find it as well. On a side note though, speaking of bendies, I would put Choa Chu Kang, but honestly, every single time that I go to like Choa Chu Kang, I don't really get like it's like I'm not like intentionally hunting for cameos, but whenever I go to Choa Chu Kang, like I don't really see anything that's like objectively exotic when it comes to like cameos. So that's the reason why I don't really pick Choa Chu Kang. I don't really pick like Yishun as well, because everything in Yishun outside of like the KUBs or like whatever bendy stun they do on 169 and 965 or 856, other than that, everything in Yishun is like pretty much standard, because of that, whatever you're gonna get there, even the KUBs on like the Yishun feeders are like 860 because solitary depot, or even rarely on like 851 or 852. I mean, you can hunt them in Ang Mo Kio as well. Okay, so that's good. You can hunt 85, although 853 doesn't really spawn anything nice usually. But the whole point is that because everything in like Choa Chu Kang and Yishun is like, it's quite fixed in the sense, even when they are cameoing. So I didn't really pick like Choa Chu Kang and Yishun as like the top places to like hunt for cameos, I guess. And to be fair to people who live in the east, I'm just stating this because the interchange is like really big. There's like one half and another half. Yeah. The exit is here. The exit is... God, I forgot where the exit is, but okay, whatever. So basically, Tampines, you can get like 67, 969, and then you can get other services like, okay, you have 39 outside, even though it's like a little far away. And then there's like 18, 129. Basically, Tampines, it's like, okay, it's obviously not as interesting as like Boon Lay or whatever, but like, you get some decent stuff at Tampines, so I'm not gonna like dive too deeply into this one. And I will save the best for last, which is Woodlands. I don't even really need to like go into detail, but I will just go into detail anyway. So the reason why Woodlands is like it's such a good place to hunt for cameos is literally because literally every single one of the nice things spawns there. Like if you're just talking about 161 or 168, you can get KUBs, you can get Citaros, you can get rides from other bus services. Occasionally, you might get like I think there are perms. Uh, there are perms. Uh, and in the olden days when this one was under Ang Mo Kio Depot, you could get nice stuff like 0405s, like SBS Transit 0405s. Yeah, and not just that. It seems like recently they happen to be like throwing a lot of the nice stuff to this place, Woodlands. Like I don't know how to say, they put like the Yutong buses on 904 or 962 as well. Technically, they are able to run on 967 as well. I have confirmed with people that yes, it's in the contract or whatever. They can run on 967. Even though right now they aren't, but technically I'm just saying they can. 902, I'm not so sure, but like yeah. And then recently they also transferred like the SBS plated Citaros from I think Go Ahead or something like that. And I also saw like a few B9TL rides like 3620 being towed to Woodlands Depot. So that's one thing. Basically, it's for the CFMS tribe, whatever you call it. I don't really care about that one, to be very honest with you. But yeah, so they keep stunting stuff there, and then there's like the... how do I even draw this? Okay, I think you guys would understand it when I draw it like this. Like this, like this. Yeah, you get the Pixel livery Citaros, but it's like SBS transit specifications, the interior and stuff like that. You get these that run like Woodlands feeders, or even like 925, 9609. I forgot honestly. And I think there was a cameo on like 962. I don't know if 964 has any, but yeah. Not just that, the main reason why Woodlands is like such a good place for cameos is because there are lots of bus services, even though they're not permanent or anything, that the bendies can technically do. I'm just gonna like list them out right now. And 962, 964. I think that's pretty much it for like the SMRT side. And then they can run. If you get lucky, you might even spot the Bendy Bus cameos. Again, even though right now this one, this one, this one. Oh, I literally forgot another one. So basically, even though these four are considered like uncommon, like nowadays, but like because all the Bendy buses they can run like so many services from here, so that's why Woodlands is a good place to hunt for cameos. Just camp there and you will get nice stuff. The one downside is that it's crowded and you have to run across berths. If you're like if you want the front view, then you have to be first in line. Ideally, even though some people might cut queue, even I myself have jumped queue. I'm not gonna pretend that I never jumped queue before. Only on like really specific circumstances, I usually queue. Okay, like if it's something rare, I'm like I just apologize to everyone and I'm saying I'm sorry, I need a front seat. But whatever. Basically, Woodlands it's one of the best places to hunt cameos, if not the best, in my opinion. Just sucks that like I'm usually quite far away from Woodlands, but yeah, I think you kind of get my point already. When I say describe briefly, I think I described a little bit too much, but yeah, whatever.